Well, good morning, everybody that's sitting in the circle. As people are finishing sharing the peace of Christ with each other, it's good to see everybody here, and I'm going to ask a favor. I'd like you to move a lot farther forward because I'm going to be sharing a book, and you're not going to see anything sitting that far back. So can everybody just scoot way up? This summer, our church family has been telling stories to each other. Sometimes we told the stories based on some favorite food, or maybe we told a time when we were at the best place in the world that we wanted to be, or there was a lot of different stories we told. And stories were a way, and I know some of you participated in this, I saw you at these gatherings. It was a way to get to know somebody better. It was a way to connect with someone. Maybe learn something new or something that you could use in your life. So it's been a fun time this summer doing that, and it's almost drawing to a close. We have about another week or two. Today I'm going to be telling a story from my childhood, but I have a question for you first. How many of you have a pet in your home? Raise your hand if you have a pet. Okay. How many of you have a cat in your house? How many of you have a dog in your house? Now, we've seen Pastor Phil's dog a couple times in church, so I couldn't bring my dog in because that was a long time ago. Now, I know some families can't have pets. Maybe someone in the family is allergic to an animal or for other health reasons, and that's okay too. It's nice to have pets, but sometimes you have to just enjoy your friends' pets. Well, the story I'm going to talk about today is about Mickey. And I'm going to tell a story that's really three people's stories. It's my story from my childhood, but it's also my dad, Paul Huntsberger's story, because it was about him and his dog also. And then he shared the story with his grandchildren, and so it became their stories. He told the story to my son, Doug, when he was a fourth grader at Waterford. I don't know if we have any Waterford students here. And Doug typed up the story into a little book. We made it into a book for Young Authors Conference. Do we still have Young Authors Conference going on now? I don't know. Barb, do you know? Well, we used to have a Young Authors Conference, and children would write books and share them with other students. So this is called The Adventures of Mickey. It was written and illustrated by Doug Lehman. This is before computers, and so everything is typed out. And he has a dedication page, which I think is kind of neat. He goes, "Dedicated to my Grandpa Huntsberger, who told me the story about Mickey." My grandma and grandpa, who lived close to our house, sometimes tell me stories about their dog, Mickey. That's where I got the idea to write this book. Now, Doug was a fourth grader when he wrote this story. They first met Mickey at a wedding shower given for them. When it was time to open the presents, my grandparents saw a little box with holes in it and decorated it with ribbon and bow. When Grandpa opened the box, a little puppy jumped out. He was white. He was white underneath and on top of his head and on his nose, and the rest was brown. They fed him oatmeal porridge and fox rations. Now they're far away. Grandma and Grandpa moved to northern Ontario soon after they were married, and Mickey moved with them. The first fall and winter in Manettville, he was tied to a clothesline so he could run in and out of his shelter. He would bark at the wolves, but also learn to protect their house. When he was a year and a half, you can kind of see a drawing of Mickey. When he was a year and a half, they took him to my great-grandpa's farm, which was a 300-mile train trip. Mickey played with their old dog, Ted. And when evening chore time came, Grandpa Martin sent Ted to round up the cows, and Mickey went along. The next day at chore time, Ted started to get the cows with Mickey, but went a little farther and sat down and let Mickey get the cows. That's how long it took Mickey to figure it out. Grandpa had a lot of fun with Mickey. When Mickey was about 6 years old, my grandpa bought a miniature bobsled and a harness for him and taught him how to pull the sled with my mom, that'd be me, and her brother, my twin brother Ray, and her two sisters, Joy and Gloria. Mickey was very kind and gentle, and the children liked to play in the snow with him. But when strangers came, he was a good watchdog. Whenever my grandpa would go to town on a horse and rig, Mickey would follow. When Grandpa would get to the store, he would tell Mickey to stay, and Mickey would guard the buggy. Everybody in the community knew Mickey because he always came along unless Grandpa told him to stay home. One Sunday afternoon, when they were visiting some friends near their house, Grandpa told a boy he could ride my grandpa's bike. When the boy got to the house, Mickey was happy to see him, but when he touched the bike, Mickey grabbed the boy's hand with his teeth and let the boy let go. When the boy got back, he told Grandpa that Mickey wouldn't let him ride his bike. Earlier, when Mickey was 4 years old, my grandpa had to go to school to teach. Since it was winter time and there was a lot of snow, the roads were often closed and it was impossible for Grandpa to ride back into the woods to the little schoolhouse, even with the horse and sleigh. He thought he would try to teach Mickey to pull him on the skis. He tied a rope onto Mickey's collar and put some meat on a long stick in front of Mickey's nose. Then he said, "Sick 'em." And Mickey tried to get the meat, but he kept missing and ended up pulling Grandpa along. After a while, Grandpa had trained Mickey to pull him for miles on the skis. That's how strong and smart he was. When my grandpa got to school, he unharnessed Mickey, and Mickey would run and jump onto the woodpile. And when my grandpa rang the bell at recess, Mickey would jump down off the woodpile and play with the school kids. At the end of the school day, Grandpa would harness Mickey to pull him 4.5 miles back home. On the way home, they would go down the steep Beaver Dam Hill, and Grandpa would pass Mickey, because Grandpa's on skis. Mickey didn't like this and would bite my grandpa's skis and trip him, and they would roll in the snow. Then Mickey would lick and kiss my grandpa as though he was sorry. A number of years later, Grandpa left home to go to town. A short distance from their house, he noticed a fox that was acting strangely. My grandpa got out of his van and started throwing snowballs at the fox to scare it away. Instead of running away, the fox kept coming closer to him. When it got closer, Grandpa noticed white foam coming out of its mouth and knew that it was a rabbit. He quickly got back in his van and drove home for his gun. Mickey had been watching Grandpa and the fox from across the field and sensed that his master was in danger. When Grandpa went back to shoot the fox, Mickey went along. As Grandpa got ready to shoot the fox lunged at him, and Mickey quickly jumped between and took the bite. Grandpa was able to shoot the fox, but not in time to save Mickey from getting rabies. Grandpa hung the fox high in a tree using a pitchfork and went home to call the game warden. The game warden agreed with Grandpa that the fox was rabbit and that Mickey would become very sick and dangerous to the children. The nearest animal hospital where Mickey could get rabies treatment was very far away, so Grandpa had no choice but to shoot Mickey. Because he loved Mickey so much, he asked the game warden to shoot him. It broke Grandpa's heart to lose his faithful friend. He buried him by a large stone behind the house. Grandpa was sad for a long time, but after a while he accepted the fact that Mickey was dead. He had been a good, faithful, intelligent friend, and Grandpa had many happy memories of him. Earlier, a magazine reporter had published an article about Mickey with a large picture of the dog, and Grandpa has kept this in his memory. Would you like to see a picture of Mickey? This is the picture of Mickey, and this is the cover of the magazine. It was the Family Herald and Weekly Star. was Canada's national farm magazine. And this author wanted to do a story about farm dogs and how important farm dogs were and how important it was to train them. And so my uncle, David Huntsberger, was a photographer, and he went up and took a picture of Mickey, Maggie was my old dog, of Mickey, and that was on the magazine. I remember so well when they came, I was in third grade, and they came to school, and someone came to school, and they called my brother and I and my older sister into the office and told us that Mickey had died. And we were very sad too. But what we remembered most is the fact that Mickey probably saved our dad's life, because he jumped between and he took the bite. He showed the love that animals have and can teach us also, I think, about love and caring for each other. Let's have a word of prayer. Creative God, I thank you for each person gathered in our circle today. Thank you for their lives and what we can learn about each other through the stories of our lives. I thank you for the animals that you have created that can become our pets. They can teach us so much about love and care. Bless each child in this circle as they begin a new school year, and our church family as we surround and care for them. Amen. You can go back to your parents.